It's late. I'm tired. But this is an important video. And I try to be as genuine as I possibly can filming in front of you guys as I am in person. If you've ever met me in real life, chances are I act the same way. I got my bloodshot eyes. I'm generally thinking of something else. I'm off in the distance, but I'm always the same person I am on camera, off camera. So with that in mind, I want to just do what I always do and be myself for a little bit and talk about some things that I would personally like to talk about. Not because anyone has told me to talk about these things, not because I feel like it's necessary. Like, I just want to do it. And to be quite honest, like, I'm sure there's some people that don't want me to make this video, and that's okay. But that's the beauty of free will. As you may or may not probably do know, Lojo recently made a video discussing his departure from Googan. And went and watched the video last week, watched all the way through, and shortly after, my wife and I are blessed with our second little girl, Maisie Jane, who was born the 28th, just in the nick of time before March. And so I've been pretty, obviously, busy. I haven't showered. Like, you can tell I look greasy as shit, but I haven't showered in quite some time, burning the midnight oil. But this video is something I want to make since I saw Lojo's video, and I'm here now. So we're playing a little catch up here. I think it's important to get this out there initially, and that is that I'm friends with Lojo. I like Lojo a lot. When Lojo was filming with Googans, he was someone that I feel like I could really just truly be myself and talk about things outside of fishing and filming. He's also a father, and I very much remember vividly when we first had our first daughter, Mila. I would have discussions with him basically in regards to, how do you do it, how do you be a father and then also juggle your work life and your relationship with your wife and things like that. And he was a really good compass for some of those questions that I had, and was able to shed some light on some things I hadn't heard before. And that's important. I think it's really important to know people outside of, or I guess to have a relationship outside of work that you can connect with someone, even though you are working with that person. So Lojo's a really good dude. And actually, one of my fondest memories with Lojo was when we had a Googan week up in Massachusetts, and he stuck around for a couple extra hours before he had to fly back to Alabama, his home. And I was like, dude, fuck it. Let's just go see if we can go chase some false albacores. And we did. We went out and chased false albies, and we caught some. And I think, pretty sure you hooked a bluefin tuna, like a small bluefin tuna, on like a size 3,000 size reel. And it was awesome. It was a really, really good memory, and definitely still think about it to today. And the video's up on my channel, so if you want to watch it. But anyway, so back to the video. Lojo just recently posted a video. I'll leave it linked down below if you want to give it a view yourself. I'm sure you already have. But I wanted to share my thoughts and ultimately my feelings after watching that video, and also reading some comments and just some overall feedback from the viewers before that video is posted, because this has been a topic that's been on my mind for quite some time. So, originally, I was pretty bummed after watching the video, and I've been pretty bummed about the whole situation for quite some time. Lojo has called me, I think, maybe 2 or 3 times before posting, or I guess before making his official public decision to not be a part of Googan, and has essentially told me his qualms, has said, like, I just don't know if I want to do this. Like, I may not be around. I just want to let you know. I want to do you a courtesy, which is very admirable. And he doesn't have to do that. I don't care. I do care, but I'm like, that's great. I mean, I appreciate you calling me. That's really nice. And ultimately, my response to some of his concerns or some questions was like, dude, I think you need to do what is the best for you. Whether this is a decision you're making for yourself, if you want to be selfish, if this is a decision you're making for your family, or if this is a decision that you just want to make professionally, go for it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you shouldn't or can't or won't do this or that. I'm not that kind of person. So that bummed me before, right? Hearing that he wanted to leave. What bummed me after watching the video is some of the things that he touched on, which I believe to be not necessarily the most accurate from a personal standpoint. Now, what you have to understand is Googan started off mostly as how do I put this? Let me just give you a brief synopsis of Googan. Googan started off with 4 guys. In 2016, myself, Perrick, Rob, and Flair, we're all collaborating. We're all making videos together. We were all excited. I'm going to Texas. Rob's going up north. Flair's going up north. We're all filming on our own separate channels. And at some point, we all realized, and I think specifically it was Rob's idea. Rob's idea was like, we need to make this a brand. We make this a legitimate company. And we essentially had a lawyer write up this podunk little operating agreement, and we all signed it, and we all shared 25% of this company called Googan, which, by the way, the viewers have dubbed us the Googans. That was not a name any of us created. It was you guys that came up with the name Googan. And on top of that, I don't know if you know this also, but Googan means shit angler. It means anglers that sucks. It means an angler that gets bird's nests on the constant. It means anglers that, crash into the rocks and sink their boats. It means shit anglers, which we've always tried to be. We're not trying to be the best anglers. We're trying to be fun, enjoyable anglers to watch, to check in on, and basically to view for pure entertainment standpoint. We're not the next Kevin Van Dam. We are the Googans. So that started like that, and then eventually it grew into bringing on one of our first technical employees, Wes Davis, who still works for us to this day. Wes, we brought on basically pro bono. We said, dude, we've got $0. The company is worth $0, but what we can do is we can cut you in on the company. We'll give you some equity, and if you'll work for us full time, then we'll give you this baby, which we're trying to grow. We're trying to create, that being Googan, and he hopped on board 100%. And Wes has been a pivotal, very important person to the brand since then, and still is. Works for us full time. He actually has filmed Never Stop 1, Never Stop 2, Never Stop 3 for me personally, and really great dude, and love him. And after that, we really started to crush on the video side of things, making all kinds of crazy content, some outside the realm of fishing, some obviously about fishing. And then we had the opportunity to work with different brands like Favorite, and they were allowing us opportunity to grow capital. And capital is a way to generate income that you could put back into your business. So that way we could pay Wes. So that way we could pay a new CEO, that we could pay a marketing guy, so that we eventually could make money doing this and also having fun, because that's ultimately the goal. And I don't know of a single soul that wouldn't want to do that, to work with your friends while also calling it your full-time job. And that was what our goal was. And eventually we succeeded in doing so. And then we started working with Catchco, and they basically worked with us. We licensed our name, that being Googan, for them to create products like the rods, the reels, the hard baits. And before that, it was the baits, the soft baits. The trench hog, the crack and crawl, that was separate to the Catchco deal. I could go on and on about this bullshit. It's very, nuanced, but that's just what it is. It just happened in all these different degrees. So yeah, and that's what Googan is. It is a business. At the end of the day, it started off as something that, we were doing as friends for fun, and then it continued to be that way. But then we also found a niche and a method to also make money on it, so that we could grow it even more and pay for bigger trips. We could hire more videographers so the videos were better, and that we could also create baits that we could use. Because the thing is, and I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but nobody at the time, and still to this day, wants to work with the Googans, because we're a bit on edge. Like, we're not like your traditional personality on YouTube or media as a whole. So no one wanted to work with us. That's why we created our own bait company. We didn't create our own bait company to make a shit ton of money. We created our own bait company because we wanted to make money, but also promote something that we ourselves could attach our names to and say that we designed and gave birth to from the ground up. We wanted to work with different companies. I've had the opportunity to work with other brands, and I have worked with other brands before we started Googan, and it hasn't worked out because, we're Googans. So anyway, I want to get that out there. Googan is a business, and it is something that makes money. And I don't, maybe you might see that as a bad thing, but that doesn't also mean because it's a business, we can't and we don't still have a lot of fun doing what we do, because I do. I have a lot of fun being a Googan. And that's one thing I wanted to elaborate on that Lojo touched on, is it sounds like what he was describing Googan as was like its empty shell of a corporate entity. And what I am here to tell you is that I can't speak for anyone else over at Googan, but I feel that is quite the opposite. I've had many opportunities to part ways with Googan. I've had many opportunities to not film videos under the Googan name or show up for Googan Weeks. And, myself and along with other creators who have worked with the brand have had turmoil and I ultimately I couldn't divorce this relationship, in other words, with Googan, because I do love it so much. I've been doing this for almost 10 years now, just with the Googan brand, not videos in general, but Googan brand, and I love it so much. I enjoy the people I work with. I have fun, and I feel like it's so opposite from a corporate shell. There's right now 15 people working at the company. It's very small. Um, I could tell you who our product development guy is for baits. His name's Philip. Great guy. We have discussions every week talking about what new lures we want to make and how do we want to make them unique. We're in the process of currently phasing out old lures because, to be honest, the designs are old. I'm not excited about them. I don't love them as much as I used to, and I just want to create new stuff. The important part of any brand um, is to be innovative, and that's kind of been a part of one of my goals for this year and then going on to 2026. So, I know our CEO, Trey, it's been awesome to work with. I like Trey. He's a fisherman. He's an angler. We've got two amazing videographers. Obviously, Wes, who's been with us day one. Jerry, also, too. These guys can hang. They're fishermen. Everyone that works for our company fishes. Everyone who works for our company gets fishing. We're friendly with them. We like them. I like them. And that's where I also have to take a bit of a departure here too and play devil's advocate and be like, maybe Lojo didn't have that kind of relationship that I had with some of the people that are working with Googan for whatever reason. And that is totally understandable. I get that, because if you don't feel connected to the brand, maybe as much as I do now, or, fortunately do now, then maybe you don't feel like you're in love with it. Maybe you do have that mindset that Googan is just a corporate shell, which those feelings are legitimate. However, factually, it's not true. And I'm not here to say I'm not here to say anyone's feelings are wrong, but that is 100% the case. Another thing that Lojo had said is that he felt like the passion was kind of gone from Googan, which, again, I think is a personal feeling, and I'm not here to say that Lojo doesn't have any passion for Googan or felt like that there was a lack of passion, but for me, there is absolutely a passion. Googan is not a cash cow for me. Just first and foremost, full transparency, 100%. I'll tell you right now, I make way more money filming my own videos on my own channel. Way more money. Way more money. It would benefit me more probably to financially benefit me more probably to just not show up for Googan weeks, which takes probably 5 days out of the month, which time is precious, especially as a father and a husband. It would be way more beneficial for me to not film Googan weeks and spend those 5 days filming something for myself. But the reason why I don't do that is because I like the people I work with. There is a lot of passion involved. Recently, we've been filming videos which I believe to be fun and exciting. Maybe they don't resonate so much with you guys, and again, that goes back to an opinionative basis. But literally every week, I get on a call with Wes, Rackley, Grant, who Grant has been helping us a ton too, Grant Langmore, and we've been talking about like what's the next Googan week. We just filmed an 8-day series in Mexico, fishing with Max Angler. We've never done a Googan week like that. It was so much fun, from freshwater to saltwater. To me, for me personally, I'm very excited about the videos. I get pumped when we film really good content. I go back and watch the videos once they're posted. I'm in the videos. I was there. I lived it. There should be no reason why I'm watching these videos, but I watch them because I get genuinely excited. For example, like the river series we just filmed, a lot of the feedback was really good on that. I felt like most of you watching enjoyed it, which is great. We had a lot of fun filming it. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but those trips are tough. Those are grueling trips. Obviously, there's no complaint. Being able to fish with your homies for 3 days on a river by yourself is the coolest shit ever. But those trips are expensive. They cost time away from family. But we do them because A, they're a blast, and B, we're trying to create stuff for you guys that is different, that is exciting, that we can get pumped up for, and then convey that same feeling to the folks watching at home. I mean that with the utmost sincerity. I'm not making videos that I fucking hate. I don't. I guess you could say I have the opportunity to do that, but I don't. So that was one thing that Lojo talked about, is he felt like the passion was gone, and I I'm sorry he feels that way, I guess, but it couldn't be any farther from the truth as to what the overall mission is for Googan and how I feel and some of the other guys feel, you know. But yeah, yeah. I mean, if he doesn't have a passion for it and he doesn't feel a passion for it, I don't. Why would you stick around, right? I mean, that makes sense. Um, the other thing that Lojo talked about too, and I guess this kind of bleeds into passion, is like Googan's all business now. Like I said, and let me kind of touch base to an opening that I had in this video, and that is that Googan is business. Yeah, it is. It is a business. It absolutely is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Googan is a brand. It is a business. We've got employees to pay. If we want to keep Jerry and Wes around, those two main guys who are extremely important, pivotal for making videos, we need to be a business. We need to make money. So maybe he felt like it was too much of a business, but to say that it's all business, it's a fine line, right? It's a tough one to convey to maybe some of you guys watching, or maybe to Lojo. But like, dude, we have to figure out ways to generate income. That is as simple as it is. I've got a family. Rackley's got a family. Wes has got a family. A lot of the guys in the company now on the back end who you don't see in the videos, they've all got families. You guys have families too. You're not going to go to your boss and say like, "Hey, listen, is this all business or are we just doing this for fun?" Like, your boss can be like, "Hell yeah, dude, we need to make money. This is how you keep the lights on." Like, not to sound cliche, but it's important. Ultimately, when we do create products, especially from here on out, it's products that I get excited about and that I want you guys to get excited about. Currently right now, we are working on a big glide bait. We are working on a swim bait basically that a lot of pond anglers can use, that can have success on. Trying to create lures for the bank anglers, going back to really how I got started, how a lot of the guys who are around in the company got started, and that is fishing for the bank. Not everyone's got a boat. So, our goal isn't to make like a hover minnow or some shit like that. Like, we're working on a crazy rat lure. We're working on, just some really unique shit. Obviously, I can't talk about all of it, but, redesigning some hard baits because our hard baits are old and the company that created them or designed them for us is completely out of business right now. So, that's another story. Nothing crazy there, but it is a different story. So, yeah, I mean, it's not all business, but it is business. There's a huge percentage of it that is business because the guys that are keeping the train rolling need to get paid. So I'll say that. Another thing too, and I want to tread lightly with this, but it's something that I don't really understand, and that is that, like, Lojo very much touched on that, like, it's not all about money, which it probably isn't, and I don't want to speak for Lojo, but the thing that I have the biggest confusion about is that, from what I understand, Lojo proposed basically an amount that would keep him around. That would basically say, like, I'll keep showing up for Googan Weeks. I'll pull up. I'll film videos, but you got to meet this demand, this monetary demand. And the number that I heard from quite a few people, again, Lojo did not tell me this personally, but from what I heard, it was more money. It was, I'll put it this way, it was 6 times the amount that myself and 3 other creators are getting paid currently at the moment. And there really wasn't a whole lot of structure to it. I think if Lojo feels that he's worth that, I think that's good. I really do, because I think if you feel like you have a dollar amount that your time is worth, that your expertise is worth, that you value yourself and the effort that you put in when it comes to creating videos or being a person that's going to market for a brand, I think if you've got a number in mind, you go get that number, you go seek it. Unfortunately, it was not a number that we could even come close to reaching. And it's not to say that we couldn't work something out, but I think that, and again, I'm not on the back end of negotiating. My job right now as a Googan is to be a Googan, right? I'm not a CFO. I'm not a CEO. I'm a content creator, and then I also help too a little bit with Philip, as does some of the other guys, creating baits. Those are my 2 big things. I like doing those things. I really do. So I don't deal with the negotiations thing. However, I did want to mention that because I thought it was very weird. I don't want to say it was disingenuous what he kind of said, like it wasn't all about the money. And I think it's okay for him to say, like, a little bit of it was the money. Like Googan could not pay me what I felt like I was worth, so that was another element as to why I left. I think that's an okay thing to say. I don't think that's crazy. I don't think you have to go on YouTube and be like, I am only doing this as a charity. You're running ads on your video. At the end of the video, you've got your whatnot sale. Fucking get your bag, dude. Get your money. You've got a family. You've got bills to pay. Why not just be transparent? So, I know it may seem like I'm jabbing Lojo. Maybe I am. That's not my intent. But I also I would have just hoped that, that would have been discussed a little bit differently, because it makes it seem like that we are just all about money, and on the other end of the spectrum, like, we're not about being passionate about content and lure making, because that's what we are. We're a content and lure making company, period. Done. That's all we are involved in. So I don't know. Trying to think what else. Again, one of the other things too I wanted to comment on was just overall Lojo feeling like a lot of the Googans were dropping like flies. And one thing I want to convey to you guys is that this company is almost 10 years old now. When it first became a legitimate company, that is when myself, Flair, Perrick, and Rob all signed an operating agreement that equally distributed 25% equity among the original 4 Googans. So since then, we've been an official company. It's gone under different management and name changes since then, but it's always been a company. So from that point on, leading to 2016, when we're almost 2016, which would be almost 10 years, a lot can happen. Going back to the whole, like, a lot of I'll just speak for myself. For example, I'm not going to talk about anyone else, but my life has changed so much. I've moved twice. I've gotten another dog. I've gotten married. I've had 2 kids. From a professional standpoint, I've really pivoted and made different changes with my own YouTube channel as far as the content goes. And YouTube has changed a lot. The fishing industry has changed a lot. What I'm trying to say is, it's a lot of factors. A lot of things change. So I don't want to necessarily, I personally, for me, wouldn't probably say that Googans were dropping like flies, as if there was this weird, mysterious thing going on behind the scenes where, there was a real reason why people were leaving. There was probably a lot of different reasons why some folks didn't want to keep filming with Googan. A lot of them probably had to do with money. And that is something I'll tell you first and foremost. A lot of it probably had to do with money. A lot of it probably had to do with just wanting to do their own thing. And I think that makes sense. That happens in the professional world. Not a lot of people work the same job for 10 years. A lot of people, they either elevate, they go from working as an employee to a manager to maybe working their way up to a CEO, or they transfer companies, and they're constantly climbing the ladder, and that happens. It doesn't mean that people are like getting laid off at Googan. It doesn't mean that people are running away from Googan because it's a dumpster fire. It just means that things change. Different opportunities arise, and those folks go and chase those opportunities. Just overall speaking, just speaking from an overall perspective, there's a lot of creators that don't film with Googan anymore because they were surpassing Googan. They're getting more views than Googan. They're making more money not filming Googan videos. So rightfully so, they're going to, I guess in Lojo's word, quote unquote, drop like flies. These guys aren't dropping like flies. They're just evolving. They had an opportunity to work with us for a bit. Maybe they had a good time, maybe they didn't. That's up to them, or that's whatever, their own opinion. However, I think truly, to me, the real reason why they left is to go do their own thing. Now, it's not to say that there wasn't disagreement in certain relationships, but that's just my viewpoint. So, and I will say this, I have zero ill will for anyone that's ever filmed with us, ever. And I hope the sentiment still stands with those people. To give some examples, like Norm's a funny dude. I haven't had the opportunity to really know him on a personal level, but I ripped a hook out of his hand and he cracked me the fuck up. He's a hilarious guy. I wish he was still making videos. Literally the biggest fishing slash outdoor channel on YouTube, crushing it. Admire what he did, and just kind of like bounced, which is pretty badass in of itself. You know, Ayo went from basically filming another content creator to becoming his own content creator and just crushing. Um, you know, those are just two examples. So like, I don't dislike anyone. I don't feel ill will for anyone for leaving Googan. And the reason why I'm making this video is not to be like sticking it to Lojo, but I just feel like I wanted to maybe get some things clear, and then also share my perspective from the inside out. Because the other thing too is Lojo has not been really behind the scenes with Googan for months, which is, you know, it makes sense as to why he might have had the perspective that he has currently and why he maybe made the video. There's a lot of good going on. There's a lot of good going on. There's a lot of exciting things. Like every week we're working on it. You know, and I know that might seem like insane. Like obviously every week you're working on it, but we're also doing our own things, man. We're also working on our own channels, working on our own businesses. But like the Googan thing right now is very much for me like a passion project, which is funny because apparently there's no passion in Googan. But whatever. Yeah, I guess I'll just end on this, and that is that I'm very excited for the future of Googan. I probably am going to get some flack for posting this video, and that's okay. But I think that I am excited. I'm stoked. I am very much genuine when I say that will probably be a Googan until the company explodes. So just leave it at that. And I appreciate your guys' support from me personally on my own channel and on Googan, because Googan is my baby, forever will be. It's one of the first guys that started, and you know, it hurts sometimes to hear when, you know, folks aren't necessarily happy, and I take that criticism and I try to be constructive with it. And that's what I'm trying to do with Lojo's video too. You know, while it's not necessarily all bad, there is some things to you know, to touch on and try to figure out how maybe we can do better. But anyway, I'm peacing out, signing up. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you on the next one. As always, folks, keep fishing, never stop.